Okay guys, I got quite a bit of content coming out for you in the next couple of days, but whenever news about Warner Brothers comes out, I love to talk about it and dive into it, especially considering that the Discovery merger has already happened and we're in the midst of seeing a lot of differences and changes. And there are tons of rumors going on right now on, what they're doing in the background, what they're doing behind the scenes. It's hard to know which ones are true, which ones are false. So of course, whenever you hear rumors, even if it makes you super, super excited, take them with a grain of salt. But I got an article in front of me here that I do want to talk about because the implications could be pretty big. It was published today at 11 a.m. by Variety, and currently when I'm making this video, it's about 4 o'clock, so it's been a couple of hours. So the subheading says, Warner Brothers Discovery exploring overhaul of DC entertainment. I've skimmed through the article, haven't read it fully. We're going to read it together. But why this sounds interesting is pretty simple. We all knew there were going to be big changes moving into Warner Brothers, which would also implicate DC as well. So let's see what we got in store. I'm not going to read the whole article. I'm only going to read specific parts. But if you do want to read the article in full yourself, I will link it in the description below. It's been less than a week since Discovery closed its $43 billion deal for Warner Media, joining one of the largest producers of reality programming with one of the most venerable entertainment brands under the new moniker of Warner Brothers Discovery. David Zaslav, the CEO of the combined companies and top leadership, have been toying with the idea of turning DC into its own solidified content vertical, the sources said. The move would potentially affect DC feature film development in the Warner Brothers Pictures Group, streaming series at Warner Brothers Television, and the creative arm within DC proper, all in an effort to have the disparate elements more closely aligned in order to maximize the value of the superhero stable, one often seen as punching up against Marvel. I mean, I'm sure I'm not the only one who have said this. On the internet, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, I don't care what social media platform you use, DC needs a fan behind it. DC needs somebody controlling the world of a DC universe the way Kevin Feige does for Marvel. Look, I don't love Marvel in the sense of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I like some things they do, some things I don't, but I'm not going to sit here and deny or disagree with the fact that they have something that works. And why do they have something that works? Because they have Kevin Feige leading the charge and leading the way to the future of Marvel and its storytelling. That's what Warner Brothers has needed for DC. And clearly, that's the way they're thinking. They do realize they need something like that. So the article does go on to say here that Zaslav has been playing around and tinkering with the option of having one person control the creative vision. And it is coming from multiple different sources and insiders. So whether or not these are true, who knows? And even if it is true, how accurate is it the people that the article states he is considering? But who's been stated is Emma Watts, a former top film executive of the 20th Century Studios and Paramount, but it does not appear that Watts will take the job. But on the other hand, another insider suggested that Zaslav was less interested in finding a creative guru and more eager to hire someone who had the type of business background needed to keep all the different factions of DC working more harmoniously. Now, I'm not a businessman. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I know how to run a company, but just purely based off of hearing some of these rumors or information, I think you can find a person who's maybe a 2-in-1 who knows the creative vision and who knows the business, but also, I actually think you'd benefit from having two people. I think you'd benefit from maybe having someone who can do the creative side, who knows how to play around in the world of DC, but also have the business guy who essentially tells you, look, this is what you can do right now, and this is what we should push, create stories around that, or however they want to deal with this issue. I mean, look at Zaslav himself. This is a guy who, I mean, just purchased Warner Brothers, as the CEO of Warner Brothers Discovery. He looks like he could understand the business side of things. Maybe he should do it. But overall, I understand it. You do want the creative side, especially if you're a fan, because we just want good stories being told, and we want stories that we can all come together and appreciate. But you also need the business side to work, especially if you are a businessman or woman and you are part of that business. You need it to make as much money as possible, and for good reason. Insiders say that Zaslav believes that the success of the merger, one that has left the company highly leveraged, will rest in no small part on unlocking the full potential of the DC Comics universe of characters. Discovery insiders believe that although DC has achieved cinematic success with recent films such as Aquaman and The Batman, it lacks a coherent creative and brand strategy. Exactly what Marvel has had over the past 10 years. A brilliant brand strategy and creative appreciation. Discovery believes that several top-shelf characters such as Superman have been left to languish and need to be revitalized. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You can't have the first superhero ever created, and frankly, possibly the greatest superhero ever created, because of what Superman has done to the overall industry of comic books. And you can't have Henry Cavill playing that role and not utilize him. It's time to get back on the Superman grind. DC has started to figure out ways for its big screen films to inspire more streaming content. Recent examples include the HBO Max show Peacemaker, which was a spin-off of the Suicide Squad, as well as an upcoming planned series on Colin Farrell's The Penguin and Gotham City's police force. And that's true. If you continue to make thought-compelling and interesting and fun films out of the DC universe and find ways to create streaming service shows off of those worlds based on certain situations or characters from those movies, you will capitalize double, because if the movie captivated our interest, the show should do the same as well. Zaslav has pledged to find $3 billion in synergies in the newly emerged company, a signal of how important cost-cutting will be to Warner's new owners. Mining DC's library of characters could help control spending, as Warner Brothers Discovery owns the underlying intellectual property, insiders say. And then at the bottom it says upcoming DC films include Zachary Levi's Shazam, a sequel to Jason Momoa's Aquaman, the long-awaited franchise of Black Adam with The Rock, and a third installment of Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman. Not saying this is anything, and I'm not trying to, look too deep into it. I just find it really funny how they mention a third installment of Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman that hasn't even fully been confirmed, and I've been hearing some really fishy things about Patty Jenkins not even being part of DC anymore. But they mentioned that, and not the Flash movie with Ezra Miller, which should have been out a millennia ago. So I think this is some good news. This is certainly a step in the right direction. This is clearly a man in David Zaslav and a company in Discovery who understands the potential that DC has. And it seems like they're trying to truly figure out why that potential has not been tapped into. And it also seems like they're trying to figure out that whenever Warner Brothers does try to tap into the DC universe, why it's not always successful, and why they choose to make specific decisions about specific characters and creative attention to those characters. I think they also understand that there needs to be friendly competition when it comes to businesses who handle similar things, such as two businesses in Warner Brothers DC and Disney Marvel who handle comic books and superheroes and supervillains. And the only way DC will be that proper competition is if they get the right people behind it, and if they start utilizing DC the way they should have always been utilized before this. I mean, it should not take a rocket scientist to understand that DC has been in a very shitty situation over the past couple of years because of Warner Brothers. You know, wherever there's smoke, there's fire, and this certainly seems to be a huge puff of smoke. Like I said at the beginning of the video, there are tons of rumors going on right now, anywhere from reshoots. For example, Black Adam getting reshot with a Henry Cavill Superman edition, or this whole ordeal with Ezra Miller getting recasted as the Flash, possible reshoots and story changes in upcoming movies. I'm even starting to hear things too that apparently Zaslav and Zack Snyder have been in contact with one another. And you know, of course, there is an undying support for the Snyderverse. I'm not saying we could get the full-on Snyderverse restored, but maybe they're trying to keep some aspects of it still alive and in play for the future. So let me know in the comments below what you think of all this. Let me know if you feel like Warner Brothers is possibly in a stronger position than it has been in the past, because personally, I think this is really great news, and I think Warner Brothers and DC a year, maybe 2 years from now could look so much better and could look like much more of a stable company than they have in the past couple of years. But anyways, everyone, that's all I got for you this time. And until next time, I will talk to you all very soon.